Ladies and gentlemen, the play's the thing with your host, Judy Sleed. Special guest, Michelle Murphy, world-famed artist and writer. Now here's Judy.
Nice music. I wrote it. Oh, boy. Okay, I guess we're on. Hi, welcome to the Play's the Thing, and I have a wonderful playmate today. This time it's a girl. I'm not very particular. Michelle, how are you?
Judy, it's such a pleasure to be here. We've been talking about doing this for a year, and as we just said, timing is everything. So this worked.
Yes,
Great.
Yes, it's
Thank
so
you for having me.
wonderful. And of course, you look fantastic as always. You're a
Thank you.
beautiful lady.
Oh, thank you, and back at you.
At one time, we used to have the same hair color, but
Oh, well, is it more fun being platinum blonde?
yes.
I look forward to trying that someday.
So we have all these wonderful pictures, and I heard so much about you. Let's start with this wonderful portrait in the back here. You could tell us about it.
Okay. Well, this is an original drawing by Al Hirschfeld, who I had the honor of meeting once. He had a show at Guildhall. And this is of my father's show, which was called Elliot Murphy's Aqua Show. And it existed from 1945 through 1958. And it had to close because they put the Long Island Expressway right through the parking lot. And the Aqua Show was located where the World's Fair was, the 39 World's Fair. And then it was vacant during the war. And then after the war, my father rented the space for it 12 years and had his own extravagant water show there. And it was called Elliot Murphy's Aqua Show.
Oh, I bet a lot of people would remember that.
Yes, I am hoping to find everyone who remembers it because, as you know, I'm writing a book about the show. And
that also is very exciting because I know that you're a writer and you had written plays and now you're attempting to write this book, and I'm sure you're going to do a good job. So you brought...
I brought a lot of material to share with the audience today. And just to finish up about this piece, I once wrote a poem about finding the Ninas on Sunday mornings in the Hirschfeld drawings, because he always had the cover cartoon or drawing in every Sunday arts and leisure section of the New York Times. And here's a Nina. That was the name of his daughter. And on mine, there's a special different name, Judy, just in your honor. Judy.
And he knew that you're going to come to my show.
He knew that. He was clairvoyant. And I've always wondered, well, who is this Judy? Because I never saw it on another. And I've actually gone to the gallery on Madison Avenue and around 61st Street. They didn't know. And one day I was in the beauty parlor in New York City, and I was sitting next to this lovely woman, Judy Sanger. And it came up that her godfather was the famous Al Hirschfeld. And I said, gee, I'm putting this together, Judy sitting under the hairdryer. Could it be you he was writing about? And she said, yes, that was me. So, when I got to meet Al Hirschfeld, he wrote a little note about who that was. And so this is a very special Hirschfeld, and as I said, the original, one of my most cherished possessions. Because,
great.
My dad, well, you have some questions for me, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, I would like you to, you brought a piece of that manuscript that you started writing, so maybe you'd like to read a few not the whole thing, just
That would take
a half-hour show, and you have so much else to talk about. But it would be nice if you could just read something from it, a paragraph.
Okay, I'd be happy to.
Yes.
And I haven't really decided which one, so I'll just start with the beginning. And I think one thing that might be important to show just before I read is to show a little bit here what the Aqua Show looked like. This was it. This was the actual building called the Amphitheater in Flushing Meadows, which we all passed by some of the sites of the World's Fair. And they tore that down. And I was so upset about them tearing it down that I started writing this memoir. And then it held 10,000 people every night in the summer. Here you can see the audience. And there was no air conditioning back in those days. And to get the family out of your hot home, people would line up. One hot night, they turned away 20,000 people and let in the first 10,000. And so it was quite spectacular. And when I heard they were going to tear the amphitheater down, I was crushed. So I wrote this, and I'll just read the first bit. And if there's anyone interested in helping me on this project out there, I'm not a professional writer, I'm looking. It's true. The Flushing Meadow Amphitheater, home of the Aqua Show, is falling down. It was the shell of my father, the symbol of my past, the monument to the glory of my family and its eventual demise. Yes, the demolition ball still hovers in midair, but its mission is complete. The bleachers continue to crumble before our eyes. What is left of that relic? It was a silent shadow, looming as a lingering ode to the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s, to an innocent age, a gentler era. Must we always wreck our fortresses, bury our past, and execute the echo of all memory? Our erasures are sharp and fast, promising to leave no blemish. Instead, they emblazon deep scars in the souls of the few who care to remember. Is there no room in our city for nostalgia, for a reminder of our greater times?
Well,
so it's kind of about really, how we destroy everything out here, even. My husband and I fight very hard to keep historic buildings thriving and alive.
Well, that's good. I like old things also, and I wish they would just keep them, because there's just so much other space available.
Yes.
I don't know why they just don't start someplace else.
And renovate something, but at this point, Robert Moses had decided to put in that LIE, and of course he was very controversial, and it brought the Aqua Show to a quick halt after 12 years of running so successfully, and it was very sad.
I would like to know where you grew up.
Garden City, Long Island. And my father, although at the time I was growing up, he was a very well-known figure in the show business world, because the name of the show was Elliot Murphy's Aqua Show. And he grew up in Brooklyn with nothing, in a Depression kid. And when he married my mother in 1945, they had $30, that was it, and a single bed, which I go into in this.
Yes.
And within a couple of years of having this show, they moved to Garden City and afforded a beautiful home there. So theirs was really a rags to riches story. It was an amazing love story.
Riches stories. I really do admire it.
Yeah.
So then you appreciate what had happened.
Big time. Big time they did. And my father was a very proud man, a great figure of, I have a picture of him. He was also
Very good
very
looking.
nice, a very nice man, a very sweetheart of a guy. And I think here he is, my daddy. He was quite a spectacular man. He
Yes,
died very sadly at the age of 48 of a massive heart attack, and I was only 18. And he was a great father and a great husband. And
Do you have any siblings?
he left 3 teenagers and a mother of 38 who had never worked before. And he left no will. So we kind of lost everything again. So talk about rags to riches. That's why I'm never sure whether to make this a memoir, which is kind of interesting, or just about the Aqua Show, which was so spectacular. But I have 2 younger brothers, both of whom are in show business. One is Elliot Murphy, a
Oh, yes.
singer-songwriter. Yes, he lives in Paris. And then my other brother, Matthew, is a tour manager for Steve Martin, the jazz musician and comedian.
Steve Martin, the actor?
Yes, and the actor. And he does everything.
I didn't know
Steve
he
Martin.
was a musician.
Yes, he's coming soon to Guildhall. He plays bluegrass banjo.
Wow. And you have so many talents. You paint, you say?
Yeah, here's one of my paintings. And I brought these along as a little gift for you, Judy, some of my pieces. And
Well, you say paint, these are photographs, so you took
Photographs
a picture of the
painting. The paintings are very large, like 30 by 40.
Oil or
Watercolor.
watercolor?
Yes.
So
So,
you do this in your pastime? You have a studio where you
no,
paint?
this is my career, being a painter. It's a very serious career. I've been doing it since I was 21, which is a very long time
That was
ago.
only last year.
And I tried show business. I was a television commercial actress in my 20s, but at the same time I started painting, and painting won out. So I love the art world, but I love show business, and I love Broadway. I could see a
Yeah,
Broadway
me
show
too.
every night.
And you said you also do a TV show. I've seen you do a lot of interviews with people.
It's much more relaxing being interviewed than being the interviewer. All I have to do is answer your questions.
I know. I saw a couple of your, what you do is you take your camera where the people are. They don't have to come to the studio. Which
Well,
is
with
also,
Guildhall, I go there. I am pretty much the spokesperson for Guildhall as a liaison to LTV and what's going on, and the
Yeah.
film festival. So that's where my show business gene gets a little bit fed.
Yes.
Right, and I do appreciate what everyone does in terms of directing, acting, production, because it's in my blood. It's an amazing art form, I think.
It is, and you are very proud of your dad, because I catch you speaking about him a lot in your interviews.
You do. I'm touched that you noticed that.
Oh,
but
yes.
yes, my father. Oh my gosh, he was just larger than life. He was so wonderful, and it was a pretty indelible loss. But so I keep his memory alive.
And can we see some of those? You have this wonderful album, which
Oh
is
yes.
so aged, is that it's falling apart. So I would like you to show us some pictures that you want everybody to see. Can
Right.
we have a close-up? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's the Aqua Show.
And my dad had left tons of scrapbooks, so I brought along some of them to share here that give you a little bit of the flavor of what the Aqua Show was like.
And
They had,
it is really wonderful. It brings back memories. Can we have a close-up on this? Oh, can you just see? Can you picture all those ladies in the water? It feels good to think about it right now.
it's warm in the studio.
Yeah.
But they were all pretty much, they were called the Aquadorables.
Oh,
And,
I like that.
and then
Aquadorable.
The men were called the Aquazanis, and they also had fantastic, it was a family show, an evening out for 25 cents. It was unbelievably reasonable. They had 200 people to put on the show every night. It took 200 employees.
Vacation is just a word to Dottie. Somebody must have been named Dottie. Oh, I love these.
And they had Duke Ellington was there himself with his orchestra. And they had Henny Youngman, the comedian. And the stars of the show, the swimming stars, were this woman whose name is June Earing. And she is a good friend of mine, and I have interviewed her recently.
Wow.
And Bobby Knapp was the head Aquazani, and I'm looking for Bobby. I know he's in Florida somewhere. And they had the clown divers. And here's a wonderful color picture of the Aqua Show. And my father designed, he was an engineer as well as a showman, and he designed the stage, which was a revolving stage. It revolved to show 3 different stages, and it was the largest one in the world at the time. It was a city block long, and it was the largest swimming pool in America at the time. And so it was quite something. And in the little pits here, they had the MC, and they had the orchestra.
Mm-hmm. And whose column is that? It looks like somebody's column.
Oh, yes, let's see if we can see. Oh, that's Robert Walls. There's my dad and June Earing. And they were on the Ed Sullivan Show, the Aqua Show, twice in the 50s. And we used to kid about Bye Bye Birdie, that song, Ed Sullivan, we're going to be on Ed Sullivan. And we were on Ed Sullivan.
Yes.
Here's Q. You may remember, like today's Time Out New York, that magazine.
TV magazine, Q.
Yeah, and it showed all the theater goings on as well. So they had the cover, and that was June Earing, the woman that I told you about. And here's my mom and my dad.
How wonderful. Oh.
And that's them in the paper. My mother had wanted to be an actress. She was quite a beautiful redhead. And when my dad met her, he met this woman, Josephine Wilson, who wanted to be an actress, and he was thinking of her for his show. And the first day he met her, he took her to Jones Beach and said, I love you and I want to marry you. That day at Jones Beach, and they were married. Her father made her wait a year, so they were married a year later. And she was...
That's so romantic.
It was a very romantic, they had a very wonderful marriage and very passionate love story. She was very blessed, so it was love at first sight. But he said, no wife of mine is going to be in show business, so she had to give it up and be a mom to us kids.
Oh, well, I guess there is a lot of pleasure into being a mom, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave everything up also. I wanted to be an actress and a world-famous writer and everything, and I gave it up for raising children. But there's always time to do things.
Yes.
Like, it's never too late.
Yes.
I'm doing some of the things now that I wanted to do.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
It is.
How many children do you have?
3.
3. She had 3 also, or has 3.
And you have?
I have two stepchildren who are quite a bit older. When I met my husband 30 years ago, they were 6 and 11, and they're wonderful. And then we have two children, Annie and Alex, and we're raising them here in the Hamptons now, although we lived in Greenwich Village in New York for 25 years, and we started raising them there.
We didn't even talk about your husband at all.
He's chairman of the board of LTV.
Yes.
He's a great guy. He's a
in
designer,
real
and he's a designer builder. And yes, he has his licenses, but his main thing is historic buildings. And
Oh, I love historic buildings.
Oh.
Yes.
he and his partner Dick Baxter renovate and restore old buildings. So they do such a beautiful job with buildings
And
that
that's
might
a
be
good
torn
thing.
down.
That's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely. We just finished renovating our house, as a matter of fact.
Oh, well,
Which,
that's also good.
yeah.
So you will have a
Yeah.
roof over your head.
That's right, and it's going to be featured in the Star tomorrow in their summer issue, their 4th of July issue, so we're excited about that,
Good.
the home section.
So, and your younger children, or how old are
Well,
your
my
younger
daughter, Alex, graduated from Bates last year, and she is now working at Time Out New York, and she's a photographer there for them, a very serious journalistic type of photographer.
Your younger?
And the youngest one is going into 11th grade at the Ross School. Her name is Annie, and she is our budding musician, like
Oh,
her
so you
uncle.
have two daughters.
Two daughters, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And she is a great guitarist and pianist, and they're both wonderful girls, and that's my main achievement.
And you mentioned you have two stepchildren.
I do.
That means
Yeah.
you were married before?
No, my husband got married when he was like an infant. So when I met him, he had these
That's a
two
good
wonderful
trick.
children. Yeah. And they're just doing great too. So we're a family of 6 altogether, big family.
And I don't know, I heard from the grapevine, I don't know whoever talks about it, but I just heard you celebrated an anniversary.
Yes, our 30th wedding anniversary. Thank you. Oh,
And,
thank you. Yeah.
And somebody said that you're not so happy. But you're still in love after 30 years. Oh, that's remarkable.
Isn't it something?
I think that should be written up.
Oh, yes. That's why I
In
say
the
it could be a memoir. Because the first time we were ever alone together, like my mother and father, he said, I love you and I'm going to marry you. Aren't we lucky women?
Yes, it must be runs in the family.
Well, yeah, I was always, very romantic and thinking when the right man comes along, it will be like my father and mother. So I was waiting for that to happen.
And it did.
And it finally happened, yeah. So I tell young people, not to rush and to really wait for true romance and love. It's there.
And that's why they say you have to be careful what you wish for.
That's true. Don't wish for things that aren't ready, because as we were saying, timing is everything.
It is.
So, yeah.
And you do so many things. You're going to write that memoir, which is like writing a book.
Yeah.
And you're an artist. You paint pictures, and you do TV shows. And what else did I forget? You do so many things.
Plays.
Plays.
Yeah.
You're in I think you are writing a play now. Is it finished or it's not?
I have been writing plays for about 8 years. I was with a wonderful playwriting group out here. The Bay Street Theater had one run by Bill Burford for many years, and it was marvelous. And we would meet every couple of weeks. And I'm looking for a new group out here that's working with contemporary plays of writers who want to hear their work aired. And it was invaluable. And then unfortunately, it all kind of broke up because our leader is now at the college, so he wasn't available anymore. So I've been trying to get maybe Joe Pintoro or Joe's a friend, hint, hint, Joe, if you're watching, or another successful playwright who might be helpful to those of us who love that art
Well,
form.
I would prefer doing this with that successful
A leader.
playwright, because
We don't
I
need a
feel-
leader, do we?
No, because I feel they are extremely critical.
Yeah.
And I think the play should be evaluated by working on it, by
Right.
acting it out, and we should listen to it and then work on it again. And that is what I'm going to try to do. I will do it. The next few months, I'm going to make a workshop. So it
Wonderful.
should be in favor of the playwrights,
Yes.
not the actors.
Right, we need that, exactly. On the play, there's
Yes.
wonderful, I've met so many wonderful playwrights out here. Not that there are tons, but there are a few of us. And actually, I wanted a screenwriting group, but I couldn't find one. So I found a playwriting group. So
Yeah.
that's why I started with plays.
Well, the best way to make yourself better is, first of all, to read a lot and write a lot.
And go to theater. And I also
Yes.
started to get my master's in creative writing over at the college, and worked with Jules Pfeiffer and Frank McCourt and Roger Rosenblatt, some wonderful writers. And we worked on playwriting over there as well. So that was very helpful.
Well, I just have to say that this is going to be to be continued, because we only covered half the things that Michelle does. And did I tell you I call you M&M?
I love it.
M&M like
M&M.
candy, or like Marilyn Monroe?
Marilyn Monroe.
M&M. And that way we don't have to remember your name, just call you M&M.
That's a deal.
Yes.
Okay, JS.
That's how I sign my name.
Okay.
Yes.
It was such a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you for
Well,
having me.
thank
I
you
can't
so
believe the
much.
half hour is over.
It is.
had a
It
wonderful
just
time.
flies away.
Yeah.
When you have fun.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
great fun. Aw.
Because you're a wonderful dad,
Oh, yeah.
and your children, they are musicians.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't even ask you, do you write musicals? So are you musical in any way?
Only in that music, I think, affects me more than the average person. I'm deeply in tune with it, you know, and I probably know every Broadway show lyric of every song. I am totally enamored with Broadway theater and musicals.
But would you believe it that I'd written songs, and
This one, right?
Well, yeah, this one. But I had written a show, a musical.
Wow.
All the music, and I would love to air it out some more.